Topical Beasts, you are listening to On the Topic, and we've got a marvellous episode for you this week, literally. I'm Dan.
And I'm getting a little bit ranty this week. Dan, I'm Alex.
Ranty? How come?
I think I'm going to start shouting at some people on set and berating them for not wearing their masks, I think.
Oh, you're talking about Tom Cruise?
I am, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. But how's it going? What have you been up to?
Working for the man, as busy as ever. Coming up to Christmas period, I'll be breaking up on the 23rd, and I'll be off until the 4th. Happy days. What have I been up to? I've been watching The Crown on Netflix.
Is it any good? I've never ever seen it, but I know that loads of people rave about it. And they're on season 4 is it or something?
Yeah, we've only just started season 3, but it's really good. Obviously, it's a drama. You can't get everything correct, but I'm enjoying it. I tell you what, Matt Smith as Prince Philip is an absolute delight. Absolute delight. Really? I love it. Yeah.
So what's the attraction? What's the draw? Because of course it's all, I guess, fictional because the actual legit royal family haven't signed it off, one assumes. So why is it interesting?
It is based on the timeline, sort of very much from where George gets ill, passes away, and then Queen Elizabeth II becomes queen. So the timeline is very loose, but as I dramatised, they're never going to get everything 100%.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good. I can't put my finger on it. Like it's not my thing, or at least I didn't think it was until my missus was like, "Yeah, we should watch The Crown." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." Got nothing better to do.
It sounds like the Queen's Gambit. Have you seen any of that?
No, my dad was raving about this to me.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned this on my radio show that I do for Chichester Hospital Radio this week, just gone. A bit of a revelation. I'm not sure if it's probably quite embarrassing. So I got a little bit of a secret to share with you, Dan, and for our listeners, right? I don't want anyone to think anything bad of me or poorly. More so than usual. Of course, you probably got your own views of me listening to this podcast. But no, all things aside, Dan, I've never ever played a game of chess before.
Really?
Yeah.
I did as a kid.
It just wasn't in my family, right? My dad never played it, so I played drafts. I know that's indirectly kind of a concept, but it's nowhere near complex, of course. But no, I never played chess. So when I say I really, really enjoyed the Queen's Gambit, which is wholly based on a chess tournament or sets of tournaments in the competition, that really says a lot. And the whole thing is perfectly written. The characters are wonderful. The casting is phenomenal. And the storyline is brilliant. And I can't fault it. Which is really, really weird because you're talking about something which I have no kind of knowledge of, and it's not really kind of a subject you think to dramatise, would you? I mean, the royal family, no doubt they've got some skeletons in their closets, and they've been sporadically in the news. But no, for the Queen's Gambit, it's phenomenal, so good, Dan. So add it onto your wish list because it's a really, really good one to watch.
Yeah, Joe, I think I might. My other half's going away to Ireland to see her family over Christmas. I think she probably needs it. She hasn't really seen her family much this year. So, do you know what? I might jump on it, get on Netflix, and just have a binge to myself.
I really enjoyed it. It's good. It's a good watch.
Yeah, but talking of Netflix, Alex, before we sort of kick things off, if people listen to our previous episode, they'll know there was a wager between us.
There was?
There was.
Yeah, a really important one, actually. So our last episode that we dropped was favourite Christmas films. And we had a load of your recommendations and some of ours. And one of mine was, I guess if you knew me or listened to the podcast for the last couple of years, it might be seen as left field. But I chose The Holiday. And it was one of my top 3. Now, Dan never seen it before. And I recommended it. And there was a wager, wasn't there, Dan? I think we said that... if you didn't like it, I owed you a couple of staggeringly good beers.
Was
that the typical choice? But sure enough, during the week you messaged me and you got some thoughts, haven't you?
Yeah, do you know what? I absolutely loved it.
Told you.
I mean, pardon my French, but it's charming as fuck.
Yeah.
Charming. Jack Black in a non sort of funny role. He's sort of very serious, I guess.
But it works, though, doesn't it? I mean,
He works.
he's not annoying. He's not like his usual Scooby-Doo kind of silly slapstick. He's a genuine character, and you can really see that he does have some acting breadth. It's not just about comic relief. He can really act, and I think he shines in this film. He's really underrated.
Yeah, Jude Law was fantastic.
Oh,
Kate
brilliant.
Winslet was brilliant. I know you were sort of a bit salty about Cameron Diaz, but I didn't think she was that bad. I mean, she's not as strong as the other three, but I didn't think she was that bad.
Yeah, it's panto for me, which I know is for the character, but it was so jarring if you compare it to Jack Black or to Jude Law. I didn't like it. But hey, no, overall, it's one of my, we've yet to see it actually, but what with, well, as of the day of recording, we've now been announced at least in the UK, we've got tiers of severity for the COVID situation. And the South Coast is now in tier 3.
Yeah.
Which ordinarily the bigger the number the better, but in this scenario is actually quite the opposite. So I think what with things being restricted and as far as I'm concerned, lockdown, probably start hitting up the Christmas films, and I'll watch The Holiday pretty soon because, as I say, it's one of my favourites. But yeah, we've got that dropped just last week. So if you have a look at, I think it's episode 8 of the OTT, have a look and have a listen. It's a really good episode, and if you're stuck for things to watch over the Christmas period, we've got I guess a good 7 or 8, I think, between us. So yeah, a really good episode to listen to.
Yeah, but let's get on to that Tom Cruise rant. Now, I heard this. Whenever I have to go into the office, I have to get up sort of relatively early, shower, have breakfast, and then I get myself ready and I walk into the office. But I always sort of
remember those days.
I put on Good Morning Britain, and
you don't, Dave? Do you?
Yeah, do you know, it's I'm not a massive fan of Piers Morgan or anything like that. It's just a bit of news, sort of like background watching when I'm on my phone and sort of flicking through Facebook. But the Tom Cruise rant sort of just caught my hearing, and I thought, wow, that's a diva moment. But for anyone that hasn't heard his rant, this is it.
You're back here in Hollywood making movies right now because of us! Because they believe in us and what we're doing! I'm on the phone with every studio at night, insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again! Ever! And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it! And you too, and you too, and you! Don't you ever do it again!
Now, I mean, we were talking about this last night, weren't we, Alex? I said that this is something we need to talk about. I mean, you were right in what you were saying to me. The rules are very simple to follow. Cinema and Hollywood is on its knees this year since March. But do you think calling people motherfuckers is warranted?
Yeah, no. So, no, I have got to preface that. So look, he's obviously highly emotive and he's obviously got a lot of skin in the game. So if I just preface it with, look, I can understand where he's coming from because he's probably bankrolling it. Studios are probably not willing to pay for too much at the minute, and he is credited as his own studios as having a big say in the Mission Impossible franchise. In fact, it's pretty much all Tom Cruise. As we know, he writes, stars, and co-produces the damn things. So I think they're even doing back-to-back, I think, this time, Dan. I could be wrong, but I think they're doing back-to-back 7 and 8. So he's literally the paying boss, as well as, the lead actor and the writer. So look, we don't know the context. This doesn't sound, I'll make some guess here. It doesn't sound as though this is the first offence. It sounds like it's a reoccurring.
Yeah.
But even so, look, he's got a fair point. You know, the industry is on its knees, and people who have got a job in that industry, gosh, I mean, any industry at the minute, you're lucky to have a job, and they're in a real situation of privilege. So to not follow very basic fucking rules, you would lose your tether pretty quick. Now, yeah, okay, I wouldn't talk to my staff like that, and sure enough, I don't. But all things aside, I can kind of get where he's coming from. It ain't tough. Look, even if you can't read, even if you don't watch the TV and you only have some kind of basic media, you know the basics. You wear your bloody mask, you wash your damn hands, and you stop breathing on people. So whatever these guys are doing, and apparently there was two that he was berating, but whatever they were doing was against that. So they had what was coming, perhaps, but yeah, it's perhaps not the right way. And I'm not sure if this is quite left field actually, but have you heard about George Clooney? He's been asked to make a comment on this recently.
No, I haven't heard this. So this is news to me. Yeah,
so George Clooney apparently some TV interview for something or other is promoting his recent Netflix film. I said they asked him for, which I think is quite unfair actually. You probably puts him on the spot, but anyway, they asked him for his opinion, and he said basically, I guess what I just said. So actually, you know, guys, he's sorted out, but he said he himself wouldn't have quite spoken that way. So yeah, it's yeah, I sympathise with Tom Cruise. But look, we know he's a diva. We covered it off in the Divas episode, which is just enough in the downloads actually. The streaming is doing incredibly well.
Really?
So so the listening now is probably already heard that episode. But if you haven't, we have got that from, was it last summer, Dan?
Yeah, we recorded it sort of it would have been July-ish. Summertime. Yeah, July-ish.
That was a Divas episode, and we covered off Hollywood Divas. I'll put a link in the description below, and sure enough, you know, Tom Cruise does feature in that. But I'm not quite sure if he quite hits the diva mark on this one, because I think he's justified. But I mean, that's my opinion, Dan. Have you got a view on it?
I mean, like I say, it's not my style of management. I'm not managing at the moment. You know, working for the man. But when I did step up at Tesco, my old haunt in retail, I certainly wouldn't have spoken to my staff like that. But at the same time, I get it. Like, you know, it's justified. And you're probably right. This probably isn't the first incident, and actually, he's probably fed up. So I say the rules are there to be followed, and they're fairly bloody easy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there are some skeptics. You know, there are some keyboard warriors out there that said this is all, you know, for publicity to get people talking. I don't even think he needs it. You know, the Mission Impossible films do really well for him. So I don't even think this is like kind of like, oh, I'm just going to leak this, get them talking, because actually we're already talking about the films that do manage to go through production because there's so few of them. You know, not that many have wrapped during this year, so I don't think it's the whole cynical kind of trying to get airtime. I think it's legit personally, but whatever your stance on it, I think there is a clear and present message, which is, you know, just count your lucky stars and do as you're bloody told.
Yeah, I mean, sort of talking about cinema and what the future holds. We put out on the socials recently, like, what do people think? Now, we didn't really get much of a nibble, but the only reason why I asked it is because on their sort of Facebook, you see a lot of people saying, "Oh, why don't they just release it on streaming services?" Now, I've got my reasons why I don't think big films should be released on streaming services. I just don't think the money's there that can be made in the cinema. And, you know, we've had this conversation several times, Alex. You know, we say if a studio doesn't make the bank, it will sink pretty damn quickly. But there's no magic. There's no magic to it.
No.
You know, I love going to cinema, and I want to see the blockbusters. I want to see Avengers or the latest Marvel film on the big screen, Star Wars. You know, it just doesn't have the same effect being in your living room and watching it on a 43-inch screen. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, there's a good reason why MGM haven't released the latest Bond film, because I don't think they'll survive. If I'm really honest, they don't really. I mean, they don't they haven't given out their back catalogue to anyone. They are still purchase only, direct. None of their films, are on streaming services, so they really have to hedge their bets. And at the minute, going straight to TV, you're not even going to scratch the surface. So it's a really real troubling time for a lot of industries, and the film industry. I think it's really going to be a case of do or die. But if they do it, they won't be able to operate in the same way, and it could be the death of cinema, right, Dan? I mean,
yeah.
It's going to be a while at least before everyone gets some kind of vaccine if they decide to take it, and that's a different argument for a different day. But if they do, I mean, it's going to take a while for people to then want to be comfortable to go out and then to go to cinema. Cinema's got to then reopen, and then there's got to be confidence that people are going to go and see the films. It's just, I don't know. And if you look at Disney, right, we talked this a couple of times now about Mulan, and they were asking something like 30 quid to stream it for, I think it's like 3 months or 4 months since it, when it went straight to Disney Plus. Now I did touch it with a bars poll. It's now free as of recording. Even then, I'm still not going to see it because we've said before, without trying to repeat ourselves over and over again, I'm not a massive fan of Disney live action. But all things aside, 30 quid, Dan's a bit steep. I know you can see it, as many times as you want, but I mean that's a good double than what the cinema would offer. And as you say, it's on your 40, 43, whatever inch TV. And the other issue you have is you're straight to TV, right? You pause it, or you look at your phone, or you got distractions, doorbell goes, or your delivery man's delivering your food or whatever. It's not the same.
Yeah. No,
they've got to diversify. I just don't have the answer for it. I don't know what the right way is. And I think it's going to be a really interesting year next year because, as I say, they're going to have to hedge their bets with their releases. And that's why you see such a busy 21 and 22 release schedule because they've now got to cram in 3 years worth of film within probably 2 years, 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, our friends at the Accidental Pod did comment, and they said, I'm hoping that while they're releasing some films like Wonder Woman on cable and pay services, they re-release them in the theatres whenever things get back to normal. And I guess they use the term normal sort of quite loosely at the moment because I think we're probably still being for a little while yet in some places.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's one way of doing it for sure to try and get that in the immediate bank in. But I think I'm with you, Dan. And we have seen films together in the cinema, and we even saw the '93 classic Jurassic Park, 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago or last year?
It was 2 years ago. 1993. Oh, I know about 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we saw that in the cinema, on its anniversary. So I think you can draw the punters in, just whether or not you can survive that long.
Yeah.
That's what it's really going to come down to, Yeah, it's a tough time to be alive. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, on to the main topic this week, which is talking about the next phases of Marvel. And I'm glad we put it off the evening that we were going to record it because it just happened to be Disney Investors Day.
It's poor researching on our part, but yeah, they absolutely smashed out everything that we could possibly want that following evening. So we're right up to date. We've got all the juicy content, and it's all relevant.
I was in bed, just sort of flicking through Twitter, and I saw them sort of announcing the Star Wars stuff. I was like, it's Disney Investors Day. We might get a couple of trailers or whatever for the Marvel films. Saw a couple of Star Wars sort of things drop, and I thought, okay, something good's going to happen. I'll see what happens in the morning. Now, if anyone wants to sort of check out the Star Wars stuff, then I certainly recommend people listen to the Star Wars sessions with the lads on Essex. Join the Spice Train. They're a lot more knowledgeable about Star Wars than I am. But woke up and I saw all these announcements from Marvel Studios, and I felt a little bit emotional, Alex. Seeing all these things, I thought a little bit of positivity in a crap year. 2020 is the first year since 2009 that Marvel haven't actually released anything.
Yeah.
But it sort of gave me a little bit of hope. I mean, some of the stuff they announced was phenomenal. It's fantastic, and that's what we're going to be talking about.
Too right.
And
Do you
we've got
want
some
to?
theories.
We do. Do you want to? Do you want to kick us off? I know you've got some in-depth notes, but also some time frame. So I'll take your lead, Dan.
Yeah, no worries. Right. So we've got some new release dates. Of course, COVID affects everyone, and the dates have shifted around again. And I know Black Panther 2 was sort of scheduled for, I think it was like March, but now they've pushed it back. But I'll talk about the dates anyway, and we'll obviously talk about the late Chadwick Boseman shortly. So we've got 7th of May 2021, we've got Black Widow, and then on the 9th of July, we've got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
That's just wrapped.
Yeah, that has just wrapped. And I think they introduced the new cast as well, haven't they?
They have, yeah.
Which was quite cool. 5th of November, we've got The Eternals. And then just coming up to my 36th birthday on the 17th of December, we've got Spider-Man 3. Lots of rumours going around on that one. But we'll talk about that shortly. This is one that I'm particularly looking forward to, Alex. On the 11th of February 2022, we've got Thor, Love and Thunder.
Oh, yes.
And another one, 25th of March 2022, we've got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And then 8th of July is Black Panther 2. And then finally is Captain Marvel 2 on the 11th of November.
At least for the moment, Dan, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing until May next year, which I think is probably sensible, but that's a bloody long time to not have an MCU film, as you say, because they've been doing it for the last 11 years, pretty much non-stop. It's very, very odd.
Yeah. But announced at Disney Investors Day. Now, I'm really hoping they do some justice, because let's talk about it. Fantastic Four. I mean, the Fox iterations are... I mean, the first two were okay with Chris Evans. A little bit cheesy. But the reboot from 2014, was it?
Yeah, I still haven't seen, and I still never will, based on your recommendation. Is it the Josh Trank directed?
Get in the Sea.
Which it's been widely panned. I mean, it's of the more recent modern films, not to mention superhero, which tend to bring in a lot of bank. It's tanked. It's really, really poor, which has been marred by reshoots and troubling storylines and confusing, plot devices. Yeah, it didn't sound like it did at all well.
Oh no, it was awful. But it sounds like Marvel got their man, Alex. Because I think we mentioned in the previous, this is the weekly roundup era, that there was a tug of war from Sony and Marvel over John Watts. Yeah. Well, John Watts is actually who directed Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home, is set to direct this.
Which I think we're in safe hands then, because he kind of knows the source material. He's worked with Marvel now on a couple of successful films. He knows Feige, and of course Kevin Feige, who's the godfather of Marvel, will have a say in it. So I think there's no better choice, really.
No. So I think we're in safe hands, and I think we'll probably get a good film out of it. I mean, there's the casting rumours sort of floating around, but nothing solid for this yet.
No.
Maybe something sort of keep the ear to the ground, and we'll see what happens. Next up, they announced Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, Dan.
I mean, we always talk about how good Ant-Man is.
The first one's good, for sure.
Yeah, and I think we do a review of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, we did? Yeah, I recall, I hope I'm not contradicting myself in that episode, I recall it was okay. I don't think it was as strong as the first. The first one just blew me out of the water, and actually is one of my top three of all of the the 20-odd films so far. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think they've got a strong cast and a really interesting storyline, and I think it's all going to tie together very, very nicely for this one. For at least what's inferred by the quantum realm and what we think might be happening.
Yeah. So we've got Catherine Newton, who's going to be joining the cast as Cassie Lang, In the comics, she goes on to be someone called Stature. So I think they're starting to sort of build up a young Avengers team now. But again, I guess watch this space. But as we know, Cassie Lang is the daughter of Scott Lang. Paul Rudd will be reprising his role as Ant-Man alongside Evangeline Lilly, who will be playing Hope Van Dyne or the Wasp. And of course, returning cast members, Michael Douglas as Dr. Hank Pym and Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne, Hope's parents. Additionally, Alex, we also got Jonathan Majors, who will portray Kang the Conqueror, with Peyton Reed returning to round up the trilogy, I guess. But I mean, I think we theorised originally that maybe the next big bad be Kang the Conqueror, but I don't think he's the next big bad now. Do you want my theory?
Yeah, go on.
Well, I mean, this is Marvel, right? You don't just openly announce your big bad. I mean, they did the same with Loki. And then obviously the big bad ends up being Thanos for 10 years. I don't know why you would just announce it. I think based on the announcement of Fantastic Four, and I think we've again sort of theorised that maybe the next Avengers film will be Secret Wars. I think the next big bad's going to be Doom.
Yeah, I agree. And that would play, as you say, very nicely onto Fantastic Four. They'll probably do Was Doom in the first Fantastic Four? I guess he was.
Yeah.
He was the bit bad. But I reckon in this one, they themselves, if I'm a betting man, they'll probably end up being part of the whole quantum realm. I reckon they'll all tie into that way. And Doom will probably be a teaser, like what happened to that character kind of thing off screen. And I think as you say, I reckon he'll be working in the background. He'll crop up almost like a Thanos, right? Behind the scenes, the odd kind of cameo here and there. But I agree. I think he'll probably crop up as he does for Secret Wars at the end.
Yeah, I mean, exciting times. I think, again, Feige is just a genius behind it all. I mean, we can kind of see what's coming if you're a massive Marvel nerd like we are. But if you're not, then look forward to some good stuff, I think. Yeah,
definitely.
Next up, they announced Moon Knight, which I think's already been on the agenda, but they've sort of given a bit more of a synopsis around it. It's going to be an original series on Disney Plus, which will centre around the character Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight, a complex vigilante who suffers from dissociative identity disorder. These multiple identities who live inside him are distinct characters in the series and will appear against a backdrop of Egyptian iconography.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, I've always wanted to get on board with Moon Knight, but I never got the comics. So I'm not too, oddly, there's not many that get past me, but Moon Knight is one of them. I'm not really too familiar with, the recent runs and the artwork and the storyline. So there's still time for me to get on board. But yeah, I'm really eager to see how that one comes across on the big screen. Well, on the little screen, so to speak, in the live action Disney Plus versions.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel sort of generally tend to do a good job with the characters we don't really know. I mean, look at Guardians of the Galaxy. No one really knew about them until Volume 1 came out.
Yeah,
and
true.
What a film that was.
Most definitely.
Next up, they announced one of our favourite arcs from the comics, Alex, Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Nick Fury and Talos are back. Secret Invasion, a new series coming to Disney Plus, has Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn reprising their roles as the former S.H.I.E.L.D. director and Skrull, respectively. The crossover comic event series showcases a faction of shape-shifting Skrulls who have been infiltrating Earth for years.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my favourite novels, and it's a beast. It's quite a few pages in the collection. Is this going to be live action, Dan? Is this going to be animated?
Live action, as far as I can tell, yeah.
Oh, phenomenal. I mean, so last time we see Ben Mendelsohn, he is in Spider-Man Far From Home in the end credits. And last time we see Nick Fury, it's the same. And he's in space with a ship full of Skrulls doing secret space stuff. We have the scroll as Talos as Nick Fury, isn't he? He changed his appearance so he can be the mentor to a young Peter Parker in the absence of Iron Man. So it'd be interesting to see actually them come together in reality in person and quite know exactly what Fury's been up to since that film.
Yeah, because I think they were setting up Sword at the end of Far From Home. Yeah, so they're up in space. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Sword. I'll be truthful with you, Alex, but I'm quite excited to see where they take this because I mean, I only read Secret Invasion sort of at the end of last year to sort of the beginning of this year, and there were some surprises.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting to see which Avenger's going to be a Skrull. Next up, we are going to be getting not an Iron Man, but an Iron Heart.
Oh, yes.
This is going to be a series coming to Disney Plus, and it's going to be starring Dominique Thorne as genius inventor Riri Williams, who creates the most advanced suit of armor since Iron Man himself, Tony Stark.
I can't wait for this. I've really enjoyed that comic book arc, and I think there is a big kind of Iron Man shaped hole in the MCU, of course, as we know. Downey Jr. at the minute has hung up his metal armor, so I think it's good to have fresh blood in there, so to speak, and why not another kind of garage inventor? They could have some keyboard warriors saying, "Oh, you know, it's a female lead, you know, should be you know, a male one." That's nonsense, because the comics are phenomenal. It just goes to show that it doesn't matter gender or nationality or whatever. If the story is right, it's right, and it really is for Riri Williams as a character. So I really can't wait for this one. Again, is this live action as well, Dan?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, can't wait. And you know they're going to throw some money at it, so it's not going to be cheap CGI. It'd just be really interesting to see how they kind of do crossovers with the other characters. And as we know, they're not now afraid to you'll talk about it in a second, but they're not going to be afraid to use on-screen actors to bring it to the small screen. So hopefully they're not going to overdo it, but I think they should hopefully have some decent nods in there from the existing MCU roster. So no, I'm really looking forward to this one. Should be really good.
In a couple of years, we will be getting Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Now, just to confirm...
It's really odd.
Yeah, just to confirm, this is not a Volume 3. I think they're doing back-to-back shooting with James Gunn. But he seems really excited for it. He said, I think I read on Twitter, he keeps saying the logo and he laughs at it and he's like, I don't know how I've gotten away with this. So, I mean, it's coming to Disney Plus. I mean... I thought about hanging up my boots with Disney Plus, but now with all these announcements and how good Mandalorian is, I think I'm in it for the long haul, Alex. I'm just going to keep throwing my money at Disney and go, give me more. Keep it coming.
And in a minute, the content is actually very, very good. So up until the point that it's not, I have to agree with you, Dan. I mean, when these things start landing, that's really they're gonna be flying if they're not already. But I think back in the summer, Shock. No, it wasn't. It was the release in March, wasn't it? February, March. They were the biggest growing subscription or the streaming services. They far surpassed Netflix to the point where I think it actually concerns Netflix shareholders. So if they continue doing this, they may even get more market share. But yeah, really interesting stuff. Of course, if we rewind the clock to a year ago, James Gunn, he was done with Disney.
Yeah.
And now look at him, he's back for another film, he's with DC in a minute, and he's got this one. It's good. You know, I don't condone the comments that he made on Twitter. We talked about that in the previous weekly roundup episode. But people do change, and he was apologetic, and I can't say he atoned for his sins. I don't know quite what he did, but the talent shouldn't go to waste nonetheless. And if he is truly apologetic, then I don't know. It's difficult because I wasn't on the receiving end, and I'm not of that group of people that obviously were persecuted in his messages. But to go from that situation where he was out of a job, blacklisted to where he is now, which is back in the thick of it, is no mean feat. It's just I think it's a little bit odd though that they're already penning a holiday special. quite so far in advance. But hey, good on him. Good on them to announce it. Do we need it though, Dan? Do we need an offshooter, a spin-off Christmas special? I don't know.
If it sort of ties in somehow to the Guardians of the Galaxy story, sure, I'm up for it. But I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this one. So I suppose we'll see in a couple of years and see what it brings. But again, that one will be on Disney Plus. Talking of the Guardians of the Galaxy, another series comes to Disney Plus. Will be a series of shorts from your favourite little tree, I Am Groot.
Yeah, I'm not sure we need that.
Yeah. Let's just see what happens. It's only a series of shorts. I'm probably expecting them to only be 5-10 minutes. But
it keeps Vin Diesel paid for the moment, so why not?
And then
saying the same line over and over again.
Yeah, just I Am Groot, and then just pitch shift his voice to Baby Groot. Happy days. And then lastly was Armor Wars.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's got a good synopsis, and again, I think there's a theory behind, or I've got a theory behind this. What happens if Tony Stark's tech falls into the wrong hands? It's going to be starring Don Cheadle, who will be returning as James Rhodes or War Machine, and he's got to face the consequences in this classic Marvel story. And I think we might see the return of Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2.
Oh, any particular reason why?
I mean, look at him in Iron Man 2, right? He's trying to build his own armor, but it just gets hijacked by old, I forget his name now, Alex, the antagonist.
Whiplash,
yeah. He sort of gets hijacked, but he's after that tech, isn't he?
Yeah.
And what a way to sort of reintroduce that character who's sort of been in the cold since, when was Iron Man 2 released? 2011? No, 2010. I tell a lie.
Yeah.
But I think there's good ways to sort of bring people back into the fold. And I think we'll sort of, again, touch on that when we discuss what we already know about the Disney Plus series and some of the other announcements. But yeah, I think there's some, I say it's just a good way to sort of maybe sort of fill in the bits that we've missed or bring people back.
I mean, the comic book arcs take a different spin on things, and there's a global catastrophe, and there's not much around, and Tony Stark basically is down to his couple of millions as opposed to billionaire, and his tech ends up, the secret vaults that he has dotted around the world get breached, and people steal it, and that's where I was introduced to the character of Ghost. Now, I don't think Ghost was very well portrayed in Ant-Man 2. I think it was executed quite poorly, but in the comics at least, Ghost was a hired kind of thief to steal tech, and it's a really good storyline. Quite bleak as the outset, because the world has had terrible events and flooded and God knows what natural disasters. But it's all about how he then has to try and find his tech and go to Doom and the rest of it, try and reclaim. And it's all about, in Iron Man, he has his conscience because his legacy is all about munitions and the damage that it does to people and ruins lives and kills people. He doesn't want that as his legacy. So I think it's interesting that they're going to continue that legacy, but now it's Rhodes obviously having to continue that struggle because Tony's no longer here. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. As you say, if they can weave in Justin Hammer, a really nice nod, and the actor who played him, I thought played it really well in Iron Man 2. I like Iron Man 2. I know it gets some bad rep, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I still enjoy it now.
100%. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And again, who doesn't like Don Cheadle? He's a good guy. So no, I'm really looking forward to that one too.
It's just a little bit of a bitch in Civil War, isn't he? But he's got his stance, but that's a discussion for another time. Now let's move on to the movies, Alex. I mean, firstly, I want to sort of touch on Black Panther 2. Now, in my notes, before we sort of know what we know now, I said whatever direction Disney takes, the loss of Boseman to the franchise is immeasurable.
Yeah.
I mean, what a guy. He gave some of his salary to his co-star Sienna Miller on 21 Bridges. And I think he sadly passed away the day that me, you, and Joey from Morbid Mundane went to the pub, and it was a talking point, wasn't it, in the pub?
Yeah.
It's very sad, very sad. He was.
And we talked about just how Woe came across, and how he brought that character to life, and they've said they're not going to do any kind of CGI kind of Princess Leia-esque type death scene. They're going to try and find an alternative way of doing him justice, but whilst I guess handing over the torch to someone else. And I got my theories on that, but yeah, what are your thoughts, Dan?
Just sort of briefly touch on what Kevin Feige said. To honour the legacy that Chad helped us build, we want to continue to explore the world of Wakanda and all the rich and varied characters introduced in the first film. So, a lot of the theories that I think people had of maybe the multiverse bringing back, what was the cousin's name in Black Panther? Oh, I've forgotten his name, Alex.
Oh, right, yeah. It'll come to me. But yeah, the
Killmonger.
Yes.
Bringing back from maybe a parallel universe where, he's good and he actually had a bit of time in Wakanda, etc. But I think that's probably gone out the window. And I think it'll probably be Letitia Wright as Shuri that will probably see the crown in Wakanda.
She's the fan favourite, and I think... Although she hasn't been quite so popular in social media recently with her stance on those COVID measures. All things aside, I think she is the good choice, and she showed up sure enough in Endgame. So perhaps there's something there for them to continue and to show, how she continues the ruling family in her brother's absence. We shall see, but I think she'll be the natural choice.
Yeah, director Ryan Coogler is currently hard at work for the follow-up. Again, released to be dropped in July 2022.
Yeah.
This is the big talking point for me, Alex, is Spider-Man 3. We don't really know anything, but the rumours of the casting just seems to get bigger and bigger, and I just think, get in the sea.
Yeah, we don't know anything, but at the same time, we know everything. Because we know all of the cast members that are making an appearance. Now, if it's just a cameo, then perhaps that might have some positive bearing. But Dan, this has all the hallmarks of the original Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, which they bit off way more than they could chew. And they had Topher Grace, who absolutely killed not in a good way, the introduction on screen of Venom. I'm a little bit nervous, I think it's fair to say, Dan. Just a tiny bit nervous. And I think they will pull it off. But we've seen this before, haven't we? A good 10, 12 years ago. I'm just a little bit nervous.
And then they made the same mistake with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 2, or the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Again, sort of try to cram too much in there, and it was awful. It was so bad. But here are some of the casting rumours. Has Jamie Foxx actually been confirmed to return as Electro?
Yeah, he's been signed up. He's actually happening.
One that I definitely know is confirmed is Benedict Cumberbatch to reprise his role as Doctor Strange and as a mentor to Peter. Now, I've got my theory. Now, in the comics, when the world found out who Spider-Man really was in the Civil War storyline, Doctor Strange sort of comes in to help Peter Parker, and he makes the world forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But yeah, big fan of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he does a blinding job.
We'll be talking about him shortly. And then you've got, apparently, Vincent D'Onofrio, who played the Kingpin in Daredevil. He wants to join the cast. And then, of course, that sort of brings us on to Charlie Cox, who apparently is being asked to reprise his role as Daredevil.
Well, yeah, because just at the time of recording this month, the Marvel Netflix agreement ran out, and Daredevil is now back in the hands of Marvel. And there have been loads of petitions to bring back Charlie and do another series 4, I guess, of Daredevil. I'm well behind that, and I definitely think he is star quality. He cut his teeth on the stage and on the big screen. I see no reason why he couldn't join the roster, but you haven't even finished yet, Dan. There's still a couple more people, and it's already a busy lineup.
Yeah. I mean, I say a lot of these are just rumours. The latest one was Willem Dafoe and Dane DeHaan to reprise their roles as the Green Goblin. I mean, firstly, we don't need 2 Green Goblins, and secondly, certainly don't want Dane DeHaan coming back as Green Goblin because he was shite. Absolute shite. Getting to see. And then lastly, apparently Tom Hardy was rumoured to be considered as Venom in this Marvel sequel. And again, I don't know why you'd want to do that. It just doesn't make any sense. I feel like this is Sony trying to make their trash canon to the MCU. Let's not muddy good waters here, people.
Yeah, and we talked about this, off air. I think if Sony are making a land grab, I think this is absolutely brilliant business strategic brilliance, because they'll lay all the seeds and then they'll spin off, and they don't need Marvel because, of course, they've got the rights to a lot of the Spider-Man franchise or characters. I just hope it's not to the detriment of the overall MCU, because apart from a couple of flatter films, none of them are really wholly duds over the last 10 years. And it'd be a shame for Tom Holland to fall foul of Sony meddling. So it will be genius. Don't get me wrong. It bring the bank, and they'll be able to spin off and do their own thing separate without, Marvel meddling. But I just hope for their sake they don't screw the pooch.
Yeah, same. Next up is Doctor Strange 2. Of course, Benedict Cumberbatch will be reprising his role in the Multiverse of Madness, which I believe started shooting, actually, very recently.
Yes, yeah.
But at the time of the interview that I sort of inserted in my notes, he said, "I'm in pre-production with the second Doctor Strange film, which is very exciting. We will start filming in late October or early November." Now, he'll be returned by Benedict Wong and Chiwetel Ejiofor, who are set to reprise their roles as Wong and Baron Mordo, who I think is going to be the baddie in this one.
Dan, quick question.
Yes.
Where is the usual Dan of this podcast?
Oh, what do you mean? Which Dan are we talking about?
You've done a blinding job at pronouncing the actor there, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah.
Oh,
how'd you manage that? Yeah, because usually you it could be anything. On the day, it could be anything, but you've done a very good job there. I couldn't have done it any better.
Thank you very much.
You turned over a new leaf, and we're no longer insulting and upsetting people. As I say, I could have done any better. So bravo.
Thank you. And of course, I think Elizabeth Olsen's going to be in this one as the Scarlet Witch, which I think we're going to see this film sort of tying to a lot of things. And I believe Spider-Man's going to be one of those films that this sort of ties into Doctor Strange. So I'm quite excited.
Although it's a bit late in terms of the roster, it's in the final third of the films, I think this is going to be a really big one. And I think an awful lot is going to fall out from this. There's going to be reality bending type events. Everything's going to be turned on its head. So I think it's going to be another reset button. And I think that's going to really kind of show the hand for where, I guess, Phase 5 is going to be going. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I think that one's going to be the linchpin of where we really will see the franchise. And of course, it's Benedict Cumberbatch, so it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. Next up, Thor: Love and Thunder. Which we've sort of touched upon in previous episodes, where Natalie Portman is going to be the mighty Thor. Now, if this does follow the comics to a point, it'll be Jane Foster going through a battle with breast cancer, but she's a superhero on the side. She's worthy. She's wielding Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. But every time she becomes the mighty Floor, what's he on about?
Mighty Floor.
The mighty Floor. every time she becomes the mighty Thor, it cleanses Jane's body of toxins, including those that treat her to beat cancer. And of course, I believe, from what I've read, Chris Pratt's Star-Lord is confirmed to appear in the next Thor film. And I think we've mentioned this in one of our roundups back in the weekly roundup days that Christian Bale would join the cast. But we now know who he's going to be. He's going to be Gore, the God Butcher. Have you read any of the Gore, the God Butcher arcs from Jason Aaron?
I haven't actually, to be fair, and I did briefly look this up after the role was announced, but no, this is brand new to me, Dan.
Just to give people a bit of a background of Gore. Be prepared to be scared. I'm sort of worried for some of the cast. But Gore grew up on a nameless, barren planet. When his mother, mate, and children died, he thought gods could not exist, and because of that, he was outcast by his tribe. When he learned gods did in fact exist, but did not help those in need, such as his dying family, he vowed to kill them all. Now, Gore possesses the all-black Necrosword, which, according to Galactus, carved the first dawn from the stone of the endless night. That's dark and mysterious, isn't it? The blade was forged by Null, I'm putting words in my notes now, Alex, that I can't pronounce. He's done it. This is it. I need to turn over. He's back.
He's back.
I mean, just to put it this way, Null is the god of the symbiotes. The blade allows its user to create wings that allow the user to fly at extreme speeds, weapons, and a shroud of berserkers constructed out of darkness. He can create tendrils that can kill any god, including Asgardians.
Sounds like a worthy opponent, I think, especially for Jane Foster. And it'd be interesting to see where we find Thor at this stage of the MCU. It'd be a good couple of years since the events of Endgame. So, yeah, it'd be an interesting one. And Christian Bale is a fantastic method actor anyway. So I think he's a fantastic casting choice.
Yeah, definitely. Last up in the movies, Captain Marvel 2. We now know that Carol Danvers will be returning, who will be played by Brie Larson. But she will be joined by Iman Vellani, who is going to be making her debut as Ms. Marvel in the Disney Plus series. And additionally, joining the cast is Tiona Paris, who portrays a grown-up Monica Rambeau. And you will also see her in WandaVision, which I believe drops 15th of January.
It does, yeah. So not long to wait at all.
No, but now I'm a little bit worried. Marvel tend to struggle with their second films in the franchise. But I mean, Winter Soldier's an exception. We love that film. Yeah. It's so good. It's solid. Now, in my notes, Alex, I put this. They mostly suffer from trying but failing to have bigger villains. The plots get stuffed with elements designed to set up the future, or they feel corporately mandated and not justifying their existence. I'm looking at you, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Captain Marvel 2 could start Phase 5. I don't think it will. I think it will mainly be Doctor Strange now that sort of sets all that up. But hopefully Captain Marvel 2 can avoid these problems.
Yeah, I mean, the problem that you face, though, Dan, is she's so overpowered.
Yeah.
So you either up the stakes, which is going to be... Well, she even could take on Thanos toe-to-toe. So it's got to be bigger than Thanos, or probably what they end up doing is she'll lose her powers.
Yeah.
Which, is well-trodden ground. They even did it with Thor in the first film. So... I don't know. This is a conundrum of that character and quite what they've done with her. She had to disappear during the events of Infinity War. I don't know where they can go with it, especially with the backdrop of all these films. The question will be again, well, where's Carol Danvers been throughout these films? Now she had some nonsense at the end game about how she's had to look after other planets and the galaxy because they don't have Avengers, and you could probably do away with that in a couple of lines, but I don't know whether that carries weight post Endgame. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. On to Disney Plus, of course. So
Yeah.
WandaVision drops on the 15th of January, and it will consist of 6 episodes. I'm quite excited for this. I mean, we've seen the trailer.
Yeah, it does look good.
House of M vibe. What are you thinking?
Partly. So, yeah, House of M, she does create a small piece of reality for herself, and she has children in that reality, the family that she never had, and then she's brought back by the X-Men to the Mutant City, where she's then attempted to be assassinated by Magneto. She then turns proper reality for the whole world, for the whole galaxy, into her own reality. So I reckon that this could be the precursor, Dan, and then you go into the multiverse of madness with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. This is probably the beginnings.
I mean, you can't really do No More Mutants because, say, they've not been introduced into the MCU yet. But it's going to be what happens when she snaps, I think. Because the trailer doesn't give a lot away, but she has sort of moments where you think, this is going to go somewhere.
There's some quite dark undertones, isn't there? Like some quite jarring. You know, she realizes not everything's quite right, and you know, there's soft horror. I'm not sure if that's a theme, but there's quite some horror themes. You know, there's a character in there which realizes that nothing's quite right, and she's distressed, and that's not your typical Marvel fare. So no, it'd be an interesting tone, an interesting take, but I think intrinsically it will lead on to Doctor Strange for sure.
Yeah, good cast. So we've said in previous episodes, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany will be reprising their roles as Scarlet Witch and the Vision, respectively. As I mentioned earlier, Tiona Paris as Monica Rambeau. Kat Dennings will be played by Darcy Lewis.
Yep.
From Thor: Dark World. And Randall Park as Jimmy Woo, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Is he the CIA agent? Or
he's
FBI?
The FBI agent, yeah.
Yeah.
Good cast. But looking forward to that one. It's not long to wait now. Next up, on March the 19th, 2021, we've had to wait a little bit longer than expected for this, but we've got The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, of course, that had been postponed several times due to COVID, but they've just recently finished filming, I believe, in Atlanta and most recently Prague. I can't get my words out today. Yeah, talking too much. Prague.
Floor and Prague. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this, Dan? Do you think we need this? It's a leading question, but I'm interested for your thoughts nonetheless.
I think so. We've got life now after Captain America. You've got his 2 best friends, the Falcon, played by Anthony Mackie, who's now got the shield, although we don't see the shield that much in the trailer.
No.
And then you've got Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier. So I'm interested to see where they're going to go with the sort of Captain America series, because I think there's definitely more room for storytelling. Because the comics of the Falcon as Captain America is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's so
they're really good. And it does. I think it will touch on the obvious kind of issue of imposter syndrome, which is a common phrase these days in the workplace. And I think the Falcon will have that. He is quite a legacy to stand up to. We also see and confirmed in the trailer on the football field is the Patriot.
Yeah.
So it obviously shows that the US government need to fill that space with the icon of the US superheroes. But it'll be interesting to see whether or not that's for the positive or negative, because the Patriot is a character from the comic books in a number of different guises. So yeah, we shall see. But it's I don't know if we need it, Dan. I mean, I've had a conversation with a couple of people on this topic, and they're lackluster in comparison to the other things that are on the shopping list. This one isn't high up on people's agendas. Now, I'm not sure that's because it's been teased for so long now, 2 years or so. Whether people just are not interested, I don't know. But I'm going to reserve judgment They clearly haven't shied away from the money. The CGI does look spot on. It is film worthy, and there is some chemistry between those two actors and the characters. I just don't know whether that can fill a series or not. But we shall see. It's not long to wait.
No. It also brings back some fan favourite characters. So Sharon Carter, played by Emily Van Camp, and of course Baron Zemo, played by Daniel Bruhl, who we haven't seen since Civil War.
No.
But I'm intrigued. I'm probably more interested in this than it sounds like you are. But I think it could be something we review in 2021.
Oh no, definitely. We'll be there anyway, regardless of my misgivings. We'll definitely take a look.
We're sort of in the home run now, Alex. So She-Hulk. There was always teasings that Tatiana Maslany was going to be playing the lead role as She-Hulk in the Disney Plus series, but it's confirmed. Maslany's probably best known for her starring role in BBC America drama series Orphan Black, but she has got some acting chops, as they say. Now, Maslany has been nominated for 3 Emmys and a Golden Globe during the show's run. No. Winning the Emmy for Best Actress in a Drama Series in 2016. She's also appeared in HBO drama Perry Mason. And on the film side, she's appeared in projects such as Stronger, Destroyer and Pink Wall. Not films that I've ever heard of, I'll be honest, but
no,
who knows? We also have a director and producer in Kat Quaro. I think I've got that right. She will direct the plot and additional episodes of the series. And Jessica Gale is writing the series and serves as executive producer and showrunner. And again, I've seen people on social media, Alex, all these keyboard warriors that say, well, we don't need a female Hulk. But I hate to tell you, Jennifer Walters has been around in the comics since decades. The late 80s, as far as I know.
Yeah, absolute decades. It's one of the oldest comics out there. Yeah, people need to get back in the box. It's this isn't jumping on the bandwagon. This isn't about all female lead, people worried about their masculinity. This is a legitimate bona fide comic. So
yeah, cousin of Bruce Banner. Cousin of Bruce Banner, and inherits the powers from a blood transfusion after an accident. Now, unlike Bruce, however, when she hulks out, Jennifer is able to retain most of her personality, intelligence, and emotional control. Now, I'm quite excited for this, Alex. We also will be seeing Mark Ruffalo reprising his role as the Hulk or Bruce Banner. And, of course, Tim Roth, who we haven't seen since 2008's Hulk film, as the Abomination. I'd seen rumours that Mark Ruffalo was possibly going to get killed off in this, but apparently they're dubbing this as a comedy. Which isn't unheard of, because I think the original She-Hulk comic books were sort of quite funny, and She-Hulk was breaking the fourth wall long before Deadpool.
Right.
So I'm interested to see where this goes. Is it something you want? Is it something you need?
I'm not too familiar with the comics themselves. I know of it. Largely indifferent, and then you mentioned Tim Roth, who is a quality actor. He's British, isn't he, Tim Roth? I think he is.
Yes, yeah, I believe so.
So, yeah, us Brits always make a good villain, and he's one of the best, and that's a really good film franchise. Bit odd not having Ed Norton there. I think they're finally going to do away with it. They have with Thunder, what's his name? Thunder something Ross.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. General
who's
Ross.
From that. General Ross, who's been brought in, obviously, as a result of Civil War and the Sokovia Accord. So they kind of already nudged Norton well away from there. So why not complete the set with Roth? And why not? Because he was very good in that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I wouldn't say I can't wait, but I'm looking forward to it more than I was before, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, the annoying Miss Marvel. We've talked about this character from our sort of reviews of the Marvel Avengers game. The studio is tapping into newcomer Iman Vellani, as I mentioned earlier, who'll be in Captain Marvel 2 as well, to play Kamala Khan. Marvel and the Stream have recently named Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, Charmin Obaid Chinoy and Mira Menon, there we go, we're back to struggling to pronounce names, Alex, as directors on the project. Just to give our listeners a bit of a background on Ms. Marvel. She first appeared in 2014 as Marvel's first Muslim American character to star in her own title, and she'll become Marvel Studios' first on-screen Muslim hero. Kevin Feige has said that in addition to appearing on the small screen, Kamala Khan will feature in future films as well. I'll watch it for the sake of it, but do I want it? Not really.
Yeah. As a plot device for the game, she was new. She's finding her characters as is the player playing, so that makes sense. But I've never been a fan of her in the comics, and we're kind of busy at the minute anyway. Do we need a teenage superhero? And we've got now Ironheart, we have got She-Hulk, and we have got other characters come to the forefront. I wonder whether we're now going to be a little bit busy. But hey, remains to be seen. Feige wouldn't put his back into it if he didn't think it was a winner. So in Feige we trust again. Let's wait and see. But I'm at the minute I'm largely indifferent, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I think they'll do it justice, whatever they end up doing.
Yeah, definitely. Next up is Loki, which will be premiering on May the 20th. No, I haven't got a date for that. I've just got May 2021 with 6 episodes. Now, this show is described as a crime thriller, which will see Loki facing off against the TVA, or the Time Variance Authority. When I saw the trailer, Alex, I genuinely didn't recognise Owen Wilson with the moustache.
No, 100%.
He'll be playing an unnamed character, sparing wits with Hiddleston in an elevator before the trailer cuts over to plenty of action shots that are harder to pass. Now, I sent you a screenshot of a certain, who I thought was a certain Black Widow. What do you think?
I think it is, and this is all about the ending or during the events of Endgame, where he takes a Tesseract, which is a big problem for our budding heroes in New York at the end of the Battle of New York, and he's now shot off onto a different time stream. So actually, all of the redemption that he's gone through in the subsequent Thor films doesn't happen with this Loki. So he's without remorse, without kind of that coming around to be kind of the good brother at the end of Thor 3. Back to form. But yeah, we shall see what that really means for the rest of the MCU. But it does, as you say, Dan, it does sound like they're going to be touching on some key events, in and around up to Endgame. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. But I think it looks really, really good. It looks like this is the kind of the Loki, not from Thor 1 and 2, but from Thor 3, where he's underpowered.
Yeah.
He's in space. He's vulnerable. Although he is still the god of mischief, and he can still I guess do magic, inverted commas. It looks as though he's still he's bound in cuffs and chains. So he's not the god of Thor, the first one. So I think it would look really, really good. Returns to form, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be really, really good.
Yeah,
one of the strongest in terms of the lineup, at least. Anyway, and look, Hiddleston's phenomenal. So he always has some good fun with his character, and why not?
Yeah, he said it's one of the most exciting creative opportunities I think I've ever come across. Loki is new territory, a new world, new challenges, and I can't wait to get started. And also, in a profile of Disney Plus done by Bloomberg, Feige confirmed that Loki would tie into the Phase 4 movies, specifically Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And he said, I'm not sure we've acknowledged that before, but it does.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. Interested to see what Loki's up to. Of course, he jumps out of the plane in the trailer and he says, I'm coming for you, Heimdall brother, or something like that. So, a lot being crammed into 2021, and I'm excited. And I say it gives me a bit of hope that maybe we might have a relatively normal year, or so, at least something to look forward to.
Yeah, I think it'll bide our time before we can get back into the cinema and get behind that big screen. And it is crammed for sure. But we've got one more before we wrap up the show, don't we?
Yeah, which is Hawkeye.
Now, this is long time coming, isn't it, for Renner? He's been woefully underrepresented in all of the films, and he's still got quite a cult following, hasn't he, Hawkeye?
Yeah.
So I think this is really, really good news, and I'm excited for Renner. He's been posting all over Instagram, leaked photos or whatever you want to call it, and I think this is his time to shine because I think he's still got a lot to give to the character personally.
Yeah, and then you got Haley Steinfeld, who will be Hawkeye 2, should I say, as Kate Bishop. Well-known archer. Now, apparently Kate Bishop in the comics is the best archer of the two, but we'll see what happens in this series. I guess she'll be studying Clint, and there will be all sorts of foes for her to come across.
Yeah, but I guess it's going to be kind of a street-level type action adventure, right? There's not going to be big bads, although Hawkeye is always featured up against Ultron bots and the Chitauri in Battle of New York and those horrible hell dog things from Endgame. He never really gets his hands dirty in terms of going toe to toe with the big guys. So I suspect there'll be. I think is there a mention of Roxxon on this one? Actually, no, we never saw a trailer for Roxxon. Roxxon and the big bad kind of corporation. If I'm a betting man, I think they'll probably feature in this quite heavily.
I know I did spot Roxxon in the Loki trailer.
Yeah.
But I think they've sort of been dotted around, haven't they?
Yeah, they featured, I think, in Iron Man 3, when at the very end, I'm not spoiling for anyone because it's been out for a while now, where the president is in the armor, the Iron Patriots, and they're actually on a Roxxon ship. And that's why it takes place, because they're corrupt company. Anyway, it's got to be street level kind of baddies. There can't be a big bad to go up against a bow and arrow. So I think this will bring it back to earth. And you never know. You may see Charlie Cox playing on street levels. We'll have to see, but that might be a bit of a stretch. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to it. I think, as I say, the character's been done out of some really good storylines, albeit I think they dabbled in some of the exciting stuff in Endgame, with Ronin. We didn't see enough. So I think this one will be really, really good.
It's got a good cast behind it as well. You got Vera Farmiga, Fra Fee, Tony Dalton, Zahn McClarnon, Brian D'Arcy James, and newcomer Alakwa Cox, who will star as Maya Lopez. But we did get some feedback from our listeners for what they want to see. And first on Instagram, we had Rock Hippie Adventures. He said this: have to check out what films made your top naughty list. You can revisit that one. I think what was 3 or 4 episodes ago now. Yeah,
I'll pop the link in the description below.
Yeah, and Phase 4, I hope, brings the mutants into the MCU, which from the WandaVision trailer looks like a possibility if they go with the House of M arc. I don't know. I'm just an old guy who loves Marvel. Aren't we all? I'm 35 on Sunday. Jesus, it makes me feel old.
Yeah, you're an old guy. But no, I agree, and I think that's naturally, we've already said about. I think that's the way it's going to go. At least we hope it does. So we're with you. We're with you guys. We agree with that one.
And then last up on Facebook, we've got my namesake. He said, I want a new Guardians movie with both Quill and Thor fighting for leadership. The thing is, to me, Rocket was the hero of the Endgame. Literally lost everything and everyone that he knew, but still led Thor through Asgard for the Ether. And despite his size and being on a foreign planet, he fought bravely. Rocket should be the leader of the Guardians.
What's the Guardians?
The Guardians. Good God. He's getting his tongue in a twist again. And then finally said, Groot is obviously drawn to Thor and has no idea that Rocket's actions in Asgard were so important but quickly forgotten.
Yeah.
They have all the pieces for an incredible Guardians movie filled with drama and emotion. Can't wait to see what they do with the Guardians franchise. We've got to wait until 2022 anyway for the Christmas special, and then 2023 for Volume 3. So, yeah, I'm sure that'll be another episode in the, I suppose, not so far distant future, because time flies when you're having fun.
No, it does indeed.
But I mean, that rounds it up for this episode, and what a blinder!
Yeah, I mean, as you say, Dan, at the beginning, it's all about timing, and sure enough, we were gifted. So we've got lots to look forward to. It's going to be a very busy couple of years. If any of our listeners have any thoughts or there's anything that we've missed or they've got a particular opinion, we've got some contact details where they can get in contact with us, haven't they, Dan?
Yes, so we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at On The Topic Pod, and then we've got Gmail, which is onthetopicpodcast@gmail.com. And alternatively, if you follow us on any of those socials, or we'll put a link in the description, you can leave us a voice message.
You can, yes. All you've got to do is click on the link on your mobile device and you can leave us a voice message. And so far, we've been accepting and understanding. And we've had people's voice messages actually directly into the show. So if you want to be part of it, why not? We love to hear from you. Get in touch and let us know your thoughts. Is there anything we've missed? Is something you're looking forward to? Or is there actually something that you want us to cover? So is there a genre, a film, an episode, or anything that you want to hear from the channel? Let us know and get in touch.
Yeah, indeed. We'll be back on Christmas Day for our annual Christmas speech. Yes.
Oh yeah, we'll be wheeling out the nightmare fuel, which is Queen Dan.
Yeah, we will. I can't wait to bring that image back to people's eyes. I'm sure it's going to burn them all. And of course, we all know what you're most anticipating in 2021. Now, I think this episode's taken a slightly different turn from writing. I messaged you on Saturday or Sunday, Alex, didn't I? And I said, I'm really struggling. I've got writer's block. Is that possible? But it is. I think it would just be nice to see what you're looking forward to do in general for next year.
Yeah. And, it's, I think there's lots to, in retrospectively, look forward to for next year. And it won't just be about films or entertainment. It's also going to be about some other close to home stuff, which I think could be relatable to lots of people. So again, if you want to be party to that, let us know what you're looking forward to, then get in touch and let us know, because I think that's going to be a really interesting episode that a lot of people can get involved with, and hopefully it'll resonate with them as we look forward and out of this current situation that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, and if anyone's following us on the socials, we've just found out we'll be getting interviewed about my area, Portsmouth. So we've got a set of questions, haven't we, Alex? And if anyone's got any further questions that they want to find out about us, let us know, because we'll be, let's say it's very soon. Just let us know.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Exciting times.
And speaking finally of exciting times, there's a little bit of an annual event that we've got going on at the minute, Dan. Just a quick reminder, as we've done for the previous episode, we've got a competition in the wings, haven't we?
Yes, I might have accidentally bought another 50 badges.
Brilliant.
Yeah, on offer, Alex. €17 through Sticker Mule. Happy days.
We need a stock.
Yeah, restock. I'm just going to plant them all over Portsmouth so people find them and start listening.
But all things aside, as I said in the last episode, in the next couple of episodes, we've got a competition running. So to be in for the chance of winning some stickers, some badges, some magnets, some good old OTT merch, all you have to do is the moment you hear a very famous Jurassic Park quote or soundbite, which is going to be bookended, is going to be at the very end of an episode, an upcoming episode on the channel. Once you hear it, get in touch on our social medias, reach out to us, voice message perhaps, let us know where did you hear it and what is the quote. And if you're the lucky person, then we'll be in touch, we'll get your contact details and you can get your grubby mitts all over some merchandise. So it's nice and simple. What is the famous phrase from Jurassic Park and what episode is it from?
Yeah.
And let us know. As I say, you can be winning that stuff pretty shortly.
Give you a bit of positivity in the darkness that is currently shrouding merry old England. But indeed. I suppose that rounds this episode up quite nicely, and we'll obviously be back on Christmas Day. Looking forward to that episode, Alex.
Yeah, so set your watches. It'll be about 2 or 3 o'clock, or in and around the usual Queen's Speech. We're the alternative Queen's Speech, so it won't be long now. So yeah, set your watches, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah. So for another week, I've been Dan.
I've been Alex.
and we'll see you next time.
Dodgson! Dodgson! We've got Dodgson here! See, nobody cares. Nice hat. You're trying to look like a secret agent?